Hi, everybody. It's Tim here. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you may be. I'm Tim from Gator Talent, as you probably are all aware. Today, I'm joined by Alyssa to learn about discovering and leveraging your transferable skills. Alyssa Shuck is a workplace and career life coach. Her corporate career journey includes losing her job 3 times due to corporate restructure, transitioning industries 4 times, pivoting role direction 6 times, and achieving 12 career promotions, including being invited to co-found a startup. Her coaching practice and courses now help people with the same tools and principles she used to navigate her career, surviving, thriving, and finding a sense of purpose every step of the way. Just before we get started, you can use the chat box on the side of your screen to ask any questions at any time during Alyssa's presentation. I will probably read those for you, Alyssa. I might stick those towards the end because we'll have a few minutes to answer those. But if there's something really, really important, I might pipe up and interrupt you. But otherwise, it is over to Alyssa. Alyssa, thank you very much for joining us.
All right. Thank you, Tim. I'm so excited to be here, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Your transferable skills is something I am really passionate about because it is a cornerstone, a foundation for doing anything you want in your career. And so I'll walk you through some tools that I believe that you'll find really super helpful. So what we're going to cover, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. Number one, how to identify your unique skills and how you'll do that with um, your professional experience, how you can look at that in a way that helps you identify your unique skills. And number two, how to leverage your skills authentically. I think this is one of the biggest things that I run into with my clients is they feel kind of icky, salesy, desperate if they are trying to leverage those skills and talk about them. So I'm going to help you just put that to the side and really learn how to do it authentically. So as Tim mentioned, I've been restructured out 3 times. I've made 4 industry transitions. I've had multiple role transitions. And this includes retail, wholesale, direct sales, as well as franchise. I've had career promotions in there, whether that was in product development or marketing. And I'm a certified workplace coach. And this means that I get to go into workplaces and help them maximize the potential of their people. But especially, I use that in one-on-one coaching as well, where I just leverage everything I've learned. You know, how I survived all of this craziness was really leveraging my transferable skills of being super self-aware of what those look like in my life, how those worked in the positions that I had, and how I could leverage them to getting what I want. Some of those transitions were intended because that's what I wanted to do. Certainly, I had a goal for many of those promotions. So all of that stuff is wrapped up in what I'm going to teach you today. So first, let's dive into identify your skills. Typically, now this is Jane. I made her up. This is Jane's resume. She is an executive assistant. Now, typically, what we see on resumes is this list of professional skills. And the default that many of us go to is the tools of the trade. I know how to do Excel. I know how to do PowerPoint presentations or keynote presentations. Um, Illustrator, if you're a designer, there's lots of different tools of the trade and tools of your profession that we tend to list on our resumes and CVs. But what I want to challenge us to do today is to really look at that section a little bit differently and look at it as transferable skills. Now, I've got a few examples here: adaptability, organization, communication, problem solving, teamwork, and leadership. These are just 6 of them. You're going to get a set of worksheets after the webinar that I've developed to help you really take a deep dive in your transferable skills. And I've listed, I think, about 30 of them in that worksheet. So it goes way beyond these. These tend to be kind of the ones that show up a lot and are easily understood and easy for us to talk about. So we're going to dive in a little bit to these. So let's take a look at Jane's, one of her pieces of professional experience here. She reported directly to the CEO, prepared reports, files, organized documents, created presentations, managed office budgets, implement and maintain procedures and office administrative systems. She deal with a wide variety of clients, correspondence, complaints, inquiries, cross-functional communication with staff and clients. So this is kind of all of the stuff that Jane does or did at her previous role. So what could we really glean from here as far as what transferable skills were in play, were in action as she did all this stuff in the job? Well, we could say that she has a transferable skill of organization because she prepared the reports, files, organized documents, and created presentations. We could also say that she is adaptable. She has the transferable skill of adaptability and problem solving because she dealt with a wide variety of correspondence, complaints, and inquiries. Anytime you're dealing with customers or clients or even your fellow team members, chances are that adaptability and problem solving are transferable skills in action. Let's look at one more. Cross-functional communication with staff and clients is a great indicator that teamwork was in action. So when you think about this for yourself, think of the things you do, those daily responsibilities that are part of your job description, and then look at this list of transferable skills and think about what had to be happening. What were you bringing to the table that allowed you to successfully complete or fulfill the requirements of the role in this case? So let's look at another one. This is where she was an office manager. So she assured the smooth running of the office, including supervising support staff. So anytime that is happening, that's an indication of leadership as a transferable skill that's taking place. So what I'm challenging you to do now with your CV is, instead of looking at professional skills as this list of tools of the trade, look at it as a combination of hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills are those tools of the trade. You could definitely still include that you can use Microsoft Office products, but I also want you to include these soft skills, which is another way of saying transferable skills. Some businesses call them essential skills, but now include those in this professional skills section. Leadership and management, communication and organization, adaptable and flexible. These are all things that are value. These are the value adds that you bring to the table. And it's okay to pair them up like this or list them separately, but the main thing you want to think about is, what is the value that you brought to the table, that you contributed to the organization as you were doing your job? That's where transferable skills show up. So now let's talk about how to leverage those skills. So I talk about it in terms of showcase and share your value in the organization. Here's the questions to ask yourself when you're trying to figure out what is your value. What problems did you solve? How did you interact? What are your strengths? And you have some strengths that are particular to you that happen when you're in a meeting, when you're talking with people, when you are contributing your ideas. What did you do? So it is some about that job description, those roles and responsibilities, but think of it in broader terms of what did you do with regards to solving a problem? How did you behave? What you did and how you behave are very tightly tied together. There's an integration there. And what I'm talking about when I'm talking about behavior is, what's your communication style? What's your leadership style? Are you someone that is very structured and orderly, or are you totally comfortable just taking things as they come, and you almost kind of think rules, what is the point of them, that you get more stuff done. These are all strengths, these are all behaviors that every organization needs. So think about what that looks like for you, and again, wrapping it all up in what did you contribute. That's the big sort of lens that you want to look at all of these and how you want to answer those questions. So let's go back to this job description, this description of the things that Jane did while she was an office manager. And now we're taking it to the next step of leveraging the transferable skills, because it's now really about creating a narrative, telling the story of what those skills looked like when they were in action. So previously we looked at this as it related to leadership. That still works, but I want to jump into communication, because I think that's a skill that everybody can relate to, because that's what work is, right? We're talking to people, we're collaborating, we're communicating all the time. So what might communication look like? What would the activities, the behavior, what problems would be solved when Jane was ensuring smooth running of the office, including supervising support staff? So we're going to call that meetings. There's probably many ways that communication can show up at work, but let's just talk about this in the context of meetings. So let's ask those questions. What happens in meetings? Take a deep dive into that. Well, meetings are a place to convey ideas. Meetings are a place to share information, encourage discussion. They create an environment of open communication. It's a place where the team leads and guides each other, or a facilitator leads and guides a group. And it's a place to maximize learning. So these are all the kinds of things that are happening anytime a meeting is taking place. So how would we create a narrative around that on your resume or CV? Well, we would call that you're a stellar communicator. If you can facilitate a meeting and make sure everybody gets out of it what they need to, then this is not this is not a boastful thing to say. This is a truthful thing to say, that you are a stellar communicator. And I want you to think about this in terms of the boldness to talk about yourself this way and think about yourself this way. Well, what does a stellar communicator do? They have the ability to convey ideas in a convincing manner. They lead and guide with empathy as a way to encourage discussion. They use engaging storytelling to share information and successfully create environments of mutual respect, which allows for open communication and maximized learning. This is now the narrative where you're bringing all of those transferable skills and creating this beautiful story of what that looks like in the workplace. So now I like to say add the extra shot. I love coffee, love espresso. So what are we going to do to take this to the next level? It's showcasing, got to list them on your CV. It's sharing, it's creating that narrative around, but now I want you to learn how to sell. How do you go out there and really sell what makes you unique in the workplace via your transferable skills? And what I call it is the picture of success. And what I mean by that is it's your success. You are noticing your accomplishments and your transferable skills, but you also want to present that picture of success to the company, the recruiter, the hiring manager, uh, to your boss, or trying to, looking to get that promotion and, kind of throwing your name in the hat there. You want to create this picture of success. And that happens by looking at what happened, how many. This is where it starts to get a little bit more like hard results, because that's what success looks like, right? Success looks like getting the results you want. Um, it's about a numerical value. Is there a numerical value that you can place on a skill, on an accomplishment? Were there improvements that happened? And was progress being made as a result of this beautiful transferable skill narrative? So let's go back and look at this smooth running of the office, including supervising support staff. and the idea of meetings that we created. So what happened, how many, results, and improvements. I think we could attach and find answers to these 4 questions with this simple statement, a description of running meetings. Now, when you are answering these 6 questions for yourself, some of them may apply to the job that you did, to the role that you played, and some of them may not. So don't feel the pressure to try to find something, try all 6 of them for a particular role responsibility that you had, but try to find, I think you can always find at least 2 and certainly always 1. So let's look at how this might play out. Um, ensure the smooth running of the office, including supervising support staff. We're back to those meetings. Facilitated monthly meetings to the entire staff, resulting in improved visibility to ongoing projects and reduction of communication gaps. You're looking for that picture of success that happened as a result of running these meetings and supporting the staff. So, facilitated meetings to entire staff, that is the what, and it's the how many. It was everybody, and it happened every single month, resulting in improved visibility to ongoing projects and reduction of communication gaps. Those are the results, and those are the improvements. The reason I want you to take a look at all this is because when you think of these results and these improvements, it's your success, it's your accomplishments, but the person on the other side of the table, what do they care about? They care about themselves. They care about, is this the person that I'm going to hire that's going to stay this time? Is this the person I'm going to hire that's going to get the job done, that's going to step up and be the leader I need them to be? They're more concerned about what's on their plate and how you can help them than they are about your accomplishments. You need to know your accomplishments so that you can communicate those so they start to see the picture of success, what success looks like when they hire you. That's the goal here. So now we're going to say back to these professional skills. Love that you can list them, but what I really want you to do now is take it a step further. This is that extra shot, and that is create a narrative that calls this core competencies and achievements. You can call it key accomplishments, you can call it core skills and accomplishments, but the main idea here is to keep the professional experience area concise and to the point, and build up this core competency section of your CV or resume so that it includes these narratives and includes these transferable skills that really start to um, showcase you, share what you can do, and sell what you can do. So let's take a little bit of a closer look here. What that looks like is this. Now you're listing these out in terms of statements. Grab pieces of that narrative and attach an accomplishment to it. So in the case of leadership and management, this is a friendly, empathetic, persuasive way of influencing others to accomplish tasks and projects, take on a specialist approach and mentality with an emphasis on structure and adhering procedures. It's being good-natured and supportive, but here's the kicker. It's created a manual for onboarding new clients that increased visibility to outcomes and improved deliverables. Could you list this created a manual as part of your professional experience? Absolutely. But it's way more powerful when you include that as an accomplishment attached to your transferable skill of leadership and management. So now let's look at stellar communicator and advocate. We've got a beautiful narrative of what that looks like: anticipating needs, adapting messages, being supportive and collaborative, and it's launching an online communication platform with 100% team participation. That's the result that those transferable skills created in the workplace. And last but not least, adaptability and flexibility. Um, you know, being resilient and steady and efficient under pressure. Those are all great descriptors of what adaptability and flexibility means, but the fact that you can now attach it to navigated two executive leadership changes while ensuring minimal effect to customer service standards and disruption, now you're showing the power of your ability to be adaptable and flexible, the power behind that transferable skill in creating success and results for your future employer. So to close it up here, why does this matter? Listen, it mattered every single step of the way throughout my career. I wouldn't have been able to accomplish anything that I did without knowing all of these skills. And that's because the bottom line is people have roles in their organization to solve problems. That's why work exists. It's to provide services, it's to solve problems. The role exists because there's something that needs to be done, and your tangible experiences are only part of that solution. Everybody can come to the table with certifications and any kind of tangible experience. The thing that's going to make the difference is your transferable skills, because those show your future employer what success looks like in short, mid, and long term. And I'm telling you, not very many people are showcasing their transferable skills. So if you want to stand out from the crowd, if you want to show up as the best candidate for the job, leveraging your transferable skills and showing how those contribute to success is your absolute number one way to do that. So we've got time for a few questions. Anything come through, Tim?
Absolutely, yeah. We've had a few questions. Thank you so much for that, Alyssa. That's really, really insightful, everything you've been talking about here. But I'll just try and sift through some of these because some of them are like very, very close to each other. So if I don't ask your question directly, I apologize. I will try to make it, roll it up into a question for Alyssa here. But one from Deepti that was really good. She's asked, what's the best way to talk about transferable skills during an interview?
That is an awesome question. The way I like to do it is one thing you can do, a couple of things you can do. You can ask questions yourself. So if you asked a question like, what is your biggest obstacle that you're facing? A short story here, I did that in an interview once, and I knew that I had on paper what it took. But when I asked the question and when I started looking, kind of reading between the lines, I could see that there was a leadership gap there. And so then I started talking. Then the focus of the way I answered the questions asked of me was focused on my leadership skills. So you can talk about them by asking questions in a way that gives you the opportunity to talk about them. The other way to do it is a technique called Carl. So when a question is asked of you, think of it like, what is the context? Tell a little bit of a story, a little bit of a narrative of the context of how you solved the problem, the action that you took, the result that happened because of your action, and what you learned. These often come in the form of behavioral questions that an interviewer will ask, but I feel like if any question that comes along, if you can take them through that CARL technique, CARL, context, action, result, learning, then that gives you a chance to really talk about your transferable skills in a very natural, authentic way.
Fantastic, awesome. Another one here from Stuart we've got here, and Stuart is asking about which soft skills should he include as part of transferable skills, or should he include soft skills rather as part of
Yeah,
transferable skills?
yeah. I terms is kind of interchangeable. Um, when you do the worksheet that we're going to send to you, like I said, there's like 30 of them, and so some of them feel a little softer in the sense of maybe it's your emotional intelligence or your ability for empathy. Those kinds of things, I guess, if you look at it in the big picture, feel softer than the transferable skill of leadership. But I would feel comfortable using, and I think the way you filter those is you look at the job description and think through what transferable skill, what soft skill is going to be required to accomplish that thing on the bullet point list, right? So if it's facilitating meetings, then communication is going to have to show up, or leadership has to show up. So tailor the transferable skills that you include on your resume or CV to line up with the job description, and that'll also give you a chance to include some keywords too, which is an important aspect of making sure your resume gets through ATS. But yeah, so if you're going to leave space for 3 or 4 transferable skills narratives, have 10 of them prepared, but just copy and paste the ones in that are most applicable to the role and the situation.
So preparing for the right kind of position that you're pursuing. Gotcha.
Yeah. Yep.
We have a really fortuitous one here from Carl. So Carl, I hope you're using the Carl technique that Alyssa was talking about a moment ago. Carl's saying which transferable skills are best to highlight when looking to progress into like a more senior or higher level position.
Yeah. I think, in my opinion, leadership is always one to include. And when you're looking to grow your career, when you're looking to grow to a more senior position. And my personal opinion is every single person has leadership skills, whether you have the title or not. Just pay attention to who you are in a meeting, to who you are when you're having little team conversations. Because there's different leadership styles. Some are more supportive, some are more take charge, but that's all part of leadership. So if you're looking to grow, definitely include leadership. I also think collaboration is a good one to include when you're looking for higher roles, for higher seniority in the company, because collaboration is your ability to bring everybody together, uh, towards the goal of one purpose of accomplishing something. And that's really what, as you grow in your career into leadership roles, you're not the hands-on person anymore. In most cases, you are the leader, you're the guide, you're the coach, you're the one bringing everybody together to get something accomplished versus the one, you know doing it yourself, rolling up your sleeves and doing it yourself. So yeah, leadership and collaboration, I think, are two really good ones for elevating your career to that next level.
Fantastic. And we've got sort of a fairly consistent one I'm seeing here. This one from Tom is probably the most applicable, I think. Which, in your opinion, Alyssa, are the most sought after transferable skills for leadership roles and higher level positions?
Yeah, I would say the most sought after skills are being adaptable and flexible, leadership, communication. Um, those those stand out to me off the top of my head. There are probably others, in that list on the worksheet, but in today's world, being adaptable and flexible is really important. Now, not everybody is wired for adaptability and flexibility. We need people in organizations that are all about structure and all about keeping things orderly. We can all adapt, we can all make ourselves be adaptable and flexible when it's necessary, but pay attention to that, in yourself, and make sure that you're being honest with yourself when you're saying that you're adaptable and flexible. Because if it doesn't feel comfortable, then you're going to get into that role and you're going to feel very uncomfortable and you're probably not going to be doing your best. So while that is a highly sought after, um, there are others that are more sought after. The ability to, you know, motivate people is another great one, because we've got to have people motivated to get the job done in the role. So being someone who is an advocate for the company, I think that's a great word when you're seeking a higher role in the company, as well as being a motivator. Those are good ones too.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. And I think that's pretty much most of the questions we've answered for today. Alyssa, thank you so much for your time and your insight in this. This has been really, really helpful, and I think our members are getting some great advice here. I've lots of good questions for you. To our members, it's Tim from Gator Talent again. Thank you so much for joining us, and Alyssa Shuck here today. We look forward to speaking to you in the next webinar. Thanks again, everyone. Good night and good morning to wherever you may be. Thanks again, Alyssa.
Thank you. Bye-bye.